The US Justice Department is set to release a massive trove of documents from its investigations into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein this Friday. Congress overwhelmingly approved a new law forcing the file's disclosure last month, with December 19 as the deadline to follow through. That legislation followed months of political wrangling as well as rebellion by some of Donald Trump's stauncher supporters over his administration's months-long reluctance to make the records public. For more on this story, I'm joined on set by Douglas Herbert, our International Affairs Editor. Hi, Doug. What exactly are we going to be seeing this Friday? What's the extent that we're going to see?
We don't know. And what I mean, Karis, is that, the reports right now out of the U.S. are that lawyers within the Department of Justice, actually working within the Justice's National Security Division, they're considering this a matter of national security, have been scrambling to review and redact 1,000 documents perhaps per day since the Thanksgiving holiday back at the end of November. And there's a lot of confusion over, are they redacting too much, too little, exactly what? They said they've been given very little, reportedly, very little guidance, clear guidance on exactly what they need to disclose. Here's what we do know. We do know that the Department of Justice has been resisting, in many respects, what the law requires. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, as it was passed by Congress on November 19th, subsequently and signed into law by a once reluctant Donald Trump, and had 30 days to release. It says that all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice must be released. Now, that said, there's a giant asterisk. That's an asterisk I'm doing with my hand. And the reason, Karis, is because there are big carve-outs in this. And the carve-outs are not so fine print. The carve-outs are, that is, the Department of Justice can withhold or redact things that would jeopardize, in the words of the law, would jeopardize an active federal investigation or an ongoing prosecution. Provided that this is a tailored withholding and it's only provisional, temporary. You can see that there is a lot of room for interpretation in that. And I'll just note that on the eve of this act, before Donald Trump, under Republican pressure in his party, reversed himself and was basically forced to sign this thing into law and release the files, he had ordered last month an investigation, that the DOJ do an investigation of certain Democrats' ties to Epstein. And some lawyers and legal experts are suggesting that he ordered that investigation in order to provide a pretext for releasing fewer files. So there's a lot of muddle there. We don't know, but I would expect we're going to see a lot of black redactions. That is, a lot of text blacked out.
Well, speaking of Democrats, they've been seen to be really leaning into the Epstein issue. Is this part of a wider strategy to put pressure on the Trump administration?
Absolutely. Nothing like the Epstein drama saga before this in the Trump administration has exposed rifts, divides, splits, and has really broken apart in many ways MAGA world, with one congresswoman actually now stepping down from Congress because of differences, one of which is with Trump over this. The Democrats have been releasing, especially on the Democratic House, the House Oversight Committee, Democrats there released elements and photos, things on the eve of this release, but even previously. You saw famous figures. And I have to qualify this by saying all of these images were undated, uncaptioned, no context given, and there's no evidence of wrongdoing just because they're in these pictures. But you see Bill Gates posing with a woman whose face is redacted, who's blurred. You see Noam Chomsky, a famous linguist and philosopher. You see a whole bunch of figures. You see Woody Allen. You see Trump's former advisor Steve Bannon in the figures. But beyond just photographs, like I said, taken out of context, no evidence that these people did anything wrong, just pure raw photos. Beyond that, you also have the screenshot, say, of a text message, a conversation from an unknown sender that reads, the sender says, I have a friend scout. She sent me some girls today. And then he sends another message, this unknown sender, but she asks $1,000 per girl. And then you have following messages saying, I will send you girls now. And then finally, maybe someone will be good for J, just the initial J. those types of things. So, like I said, it's just a trove being tossed out there, but it's clear that the Democrats have leaned into the Epstein saga, and his victims would say justifiably so. One, because the Republicans, led by the MAGA movement and Trump's for so long, blocked and would not disclose these files over the demands of much of MAGA world. So they've leaned into this. They see this as perhaps a strategy to show Trump has not been true to his word, that he's been hypocritical. He campaigned on releasing this information and then turned around and flip-flopped and then flipped again and had to release it under pressure.